Hey, this is Pamela Schneider. I'm the retail editor for Blue Book Services, and this is the Produce Reporter Week in Review. Greg, I just can't get enough of the Texas International Produce Association.
Yeah, as soon as you leave, they pull you right back in, huh?
Right. I attended just after Viva Fresh. Couple of people, everyone got a day to be at home, and then they were back on the road. This week, the Texas legislature is in session every other year. And this is one of those years that they're in session. And so they decided to have one of those extremely grassroots, let's get boots on the ground and feed some people. And coincidentally, April is Texas Fruit and Vegetable Month. So some TIPA members joined me, or I joined them at the Capitol here in Austin, Texas, to get our message across and give away 20,000 pounds of produce in about 3 hours.
So you lobbied with what exactly? Some celery?
Celery, lots of celery. Actually, we had Texas grown crops to reinforce the needs of Texas farmers. A couple of growers were there advocating on behalf of the produce industry in Texas, but we also had some imports too, to highlight the importance of business and the business that comes through the Rio Grande Valley and crosses through on Texas borders, which, if you recall, the governor here in Texas had some, last spring did a little something with the border crossings and really affected Texas produce business. And so being there face to face with lawmakers, I think, was really a priority for the Texas International Produce Association, to remind them that, hey, we do a lot of big business here in Texas, and we're very important. So please don't mess with our border crossings. But the fun part of it was, and I think what really energized the people that were there, was giving out fruits and vegetables and talking about the importance to the Texas economy and the importance to nutrition. And I cannot tell you how many times I explained to people, what is a jicama? I got a boilerplate speech if you want it. It's as if a potato and an apple had a baby, and you eat it as a snack, and it's delicious.
Fresh,
So,
unlike a potato.
unlike a potato, you eat it fresh. And people were really thrilled, and it was fun because it wasn't one of those super regimented, pre-packaged, you get one bunch of beets and you get one head of stalk of celery and one bunch of kale. It was, take all you want. And people really loaded up the bags. We handed out 500 custom bags from Fox Packaging. They did a custom bag for the event. It was like a grapefruit bag, only it had the TIPA members printed on the plastic for it. And then once we ran out of bags, we just gave them the cases from the fruits and vegetables we were giving out. Whole bags of 10-15 onions from J&D Produce. Yep, take a bag of onions. And people walking around in their business clothes in and out of the Capitol, loading up, looking like me walking out of a trade show.
I know avocado leggings on any of the state's people.
No, nobody had the avocado leggings on, although they will be back doing the similar advocacy, a similar event in 2 weeks. So maybe we'll have some cheerleaders who will show up in some. The Valley Citrus Committee had some lapel pins, kind of similar to what I've been collecting on my flare from trade shows. Maybe some people will have those on.
Well, as it turns out, you could have brought some Chick-fil-A salads, because they are back.
They never left. Were they gone for one day? This is like a high
I
school
don't think they
romance.
actually were. They actually were never gone. We reported last week that they would discontinue them starting April 3rd, which is Monday of this week. And by that time, we began reporting that they changed their mind, and they got a groundswell of requests from their customers saying it's a bad idea, and so they changed their mind. So that's how the market should work, right?
That's how the market should work. Although I don't want to be a skeptic, but it kind of smells like a PR stunt to remind everyone that they have side salads. I don't want to be cynical.
I am super cynical, and I didn't see it that way.
It's just like the potato lady at the Chiefs game, and then you find
No,
out she got a
that totally felt astroturfed. I mean, that automatically, I was my BS antenna was up. But I didn't feel that way with this Chick-fil-A thing. I mean,
Well, we
I
can,
mean, McDonald's did it for real, so it's not like they were the first ones.
yeah, it's not unheard of. But I would like to see, and even if it wasn't a huge plan, hopefully it's reminding people that you do not have to get waffle fries. You can get a salad, or you can get waffle fries and a salad. Why not both? More fruits and vegetables, more matters, right? So
True.
I think the publicity didn't hurt anything. And if it was a groundswell from the grassroots efforts from customers, it's nice to see a business paying attention to their customers. And when it benefits everyone nutritionally and the business community for the fresh produce industry, hey, I'm all for it. Although, admittedly, there could be a little trouble finding the lettuce for the salads this summer. I'm just going to say. We did have an update from Marcon. We got some
Yeah,
ice.
can you believe it? It's April and in the desert they're still having ice. That is crazy.
It's
I mean,
crazy, but it's just the weather patterns they've been having. We were warned that El Nino was going to come roaring back, and it was going to be wet and dreary here in Texas. And it is 46 degrees outside in Austin, Texas, and it's raining. And this is ridiculous. This is hateful. I don't even know what's going on. But everyone told us El Nino's coming back, and it's going to be cold and dreary and wet. And wow.
well, otherwise known as spring in Kansas City, which is 80 one day and 40 the next. It's like,
Yeah,
come on,
well,
you should be used to that.
I should be used to that, but working from home, man. I should be used to that, but I'm used to 80 degrees and sunny for 2 months before we hit 100 and sunny for the rest of the summer. So this is just hateful.
I'm sure you'll survive. All right, the last item we wanted to touch on in this week's video is the Kalera news. And they announced this week that they were filing Chapter 11 bankruptcy reorganization and letting go of their CEO. And I'd have to say, this is not good news for the company.
It's not good news, but it's also not unexpected news. And I don't think it's going to be the only news like this that we get out of the vertical farming community, just because of what's going on with venture capital. A lot of those are looking to refinance. They need more capital to keep these organizations going because they are very expensive startups. And they need a lot of infusions of cash to get off the ground. And to see this, they need more cash, and there's not a lot of it around for this right now. And it's not the only one we've seen lately. There have been some other lower profile ones, one called Fifth Season, I believe. That one shuttered entirely. So it's not surprising, but it is something that I think we're going to see over the next 6 months to a year.
We got a preview of this in January when they announced that they were closing 2 of their greenhouses in order to focus on profitability at the other ones. I mean, that's a completely rational business move when your investors are saying, all right, it's time to start making some profits here. Which ones are closer and which ones aren't? And so once they did that, it's like, I think an observer could see a clock ticking down, not necessarily like a doomsday clock, but we need to be profitable. Now we have a timeline. So in that way, I would say it's not too surprising.
Not too surprising, not unreasonable to expect big changes at a company that is expected to start doing the business of farming and producing a product. And not
profitably.
Profitably and not just ideas. So that's what we've been talking about ever since we saw all of these billions of dollars going into indoor farming. There was already an established community of indoor farmers, but it was more the greenhouse model. Those have been in existence for decades. When we started to see a lot of this high-tech, very expensive stuff going, and yeah, we can tinker around for a little while, but eventually we need to see business lettuce and business crops coming out of there. And investors are saying the same thing.
Yeah, and be able to compete with what's in the market and be able to have the consumer demand. mean, they do. I mean, we've seen a lot of high quality greenhouse product, but it has to be able to compete with price, which is a totally different scenario than a lot of the like non-meat, the meat analog competitors that we don't completely cover, but we see some of that news since we follow food, and they really struggle with quality, not with profitability or being able to compete price wise. Whereas this is the same lettuce, sometimes higher quality, but if you can't get the yields, you can't charge 2 or 3 times as much and expect that consumers are going for that.
Right. And honestly, Mother Nature is helping them out as much as possible right now with what we've got going on in the western regions, and even in some of the other growing regions. We've got some unfavorable weather. I know a lot of the Texas grower shippers were talking about not being able to get out in the fields. That the onion harvest was slowed down because of rains. It's raining in Texas too. So the outdoor stuff is helping push demand to some of these greenhouse guys. And if they've got it figured out, or not just greenhouse guys, these controlled environment guys.
Right.
And if they've got it figured out, there's a market there, but we've got to get cost parity, or even as close as we can get when we take the transportation out of it, or less of the factor of the transportation. So the market is there, and the market's going to need some greens. So the timing is good if we can get our mix, nailed down.
Right.
All right, well, that's it for the Produce Reporter Week in Review. If you are not getting the Produce Reporter newsletter, you need to go to producebluebook.com and sign up. Say hi to Chewy. You look at him, he's like, hey guys.